Hello there, welcome back to our Tauri Speedrun, which hopefully will reach as close to season the next one. We have been going for a while, and we still have Contreras, we still have Nyman, we still have a little gap up to Red Bull, but I think we might be able to close that down. That's at least going to be the hope, and we're going to be continuing this journey today. So currently, let's just go through where we're at. We're a little bit over halfway in the championship here. Standings are pretty straightforward. We did catch on Red Bull last time. And honestly, here I do believe that we have a little bit of a hope. We do have probably the best pit crew there is. Again, this is a holdover from before the pit crew changes. So in reality, the pit crew is kind of hard to obtain in the current edition. So don't worry. Basically, it's not reliable in the sense that you can't really get a pit crew at this level currently. But yeah, let's have a look at where we're at. What are we doing? We are doing 6 researches, so we're basically building the car for next year in the event that we fail to be extra safe. And honestly, I'm very happy with this approach because we still have a chance this year. That's just a fact. But we have drivers that need development. We have Verstappen, who is probably getting to the kind of end of his development here, with a rating of 94. Not really much he can gain. Same here really with Norris. And if you take that into account, our drivers, any development that they get is going to be hugely beneficial. So, yeah, kind of happy with where we're going. We will potentially also, as I think we mentioned last time, see if there's any potential better options. But I'm a little bit unsure if we actually have any at the moment. I believe I did have a little bit of a look. But yeah, Leah Taylor, performance-wise, low adaptability, high in other stats. Probably a good option. Did we sign it as a reserve, or did we sign someone else who is our current reserve? Sano. So that's the same one that we had from last time. Even low adaptability and high smoothness. Yeah, this girl is probably, well, woman, is probably one of the better options that we have. So, yeah, I'm happy with how we've opted to develop her. So I think our strategy here is sound. We do still have a pretty decent chance this season, which is going to keep things somewhat interesting. But we're kind of going the safe route with doing research at this point, and I believe so far we should be looking fairly good in that regard. So we're losing quite a bit of airflow next season, which is probably why I decided to go with this drastic measure, because it is a bit of a drastic measure, let's be honest. And yeah, being able to kind of get that gap on Red Bull potentially is going to be massive. But for now, we are just going to get back into it. We are going to go into Monza, which is a medium abrasive track, pretty long pit lanes, 88 qualifying. So this one's going to be fairly interesting. Then we have Singapore and Suzuka. So yeah, some pretty, to some degree, intense races for the next 3 ones. Let's see if we can get through them during this episode. That's going to be the goal. We have a ton of money, which is what you usually end up with once your facilities have kind of reached their peak. You don't really want to upgrade wind tunnel or CFD. But yeah, let's get into it. Sorry for spending so much time. If you have enjoyed this series, please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't, as it helps me out a ton. Thank you very much. And with that, let's keep going. So we got a chassis research going here. This is basically a very basic one. And of course, we're going to immediately start another one, because there's no real reason not to. We have 6 slots. We can have everything running at once. And that is that's really good. And again, the 6 slots is a result of an event that can fly kind of randomly. If you get it at the start of the season, you kind of want to just sing hallelujah, because that means you probably are going to dominate Bahrain for sure. But yeah, it's a good thing to have, and we're very happy with that. I'm going to say that both drivers are just going to get into top 10 here. Again, it's quite conservative, but we're not really lacking for money, so honestly, we could probably just skip these performance targets altogether. But it's habit, we'll do them, and it's kind of the same thing with me not really touching aggressiveness. It was mentioned in an earlier video that I'm kind of bad at, you know, turning up aggressiveness, turning up risk when overtaking other cars, and I do that. I prefer to play it a little bit safe when there isn't, you know, huge gains to be made. I'm probably a little bit too conservative in the strategy department compared to what a lot of other players would choose in different situations. So I do know that's a bit of a shortcoming of mine, but I am quite risk adverse in this game, because risk in this game, when it goes wrong, it's going to cost you a lot. But yeah, let's jump into Italy. We have a little bit of gap to Red Bull, well, a little bit gap up to Red Bull. Let's see if we can close it down a little bit. So currently we're doing very well. We qualified first and second with some way improved runs here. But do remember, this is an 88 qualifier, meaning Q1 was hard, Q2 was medium, and Q3 was soft tires. Now, there is going to be some reshuffling because there's a lot of penalties in the works here. In the top 10, we have half of every car with penalties. And we also know 2 down here in, well, the bottom 10. So that's going to shuffle things around a little bit. Verstappen's going to be moved up to 3rd, Stroll to 4th, maybe Norris up to 5th. So while this does look good for us on paper without taking penalties into account, it's actually not that great, as we'll probably end up fighting Verstappen here to some degree. There's just no way around that with just how quick he is. So we'll have to deal with that in some way, shape, or another. In terms of compounds, about 2/10 advantage here for the softs, meaning they actually have an advantage for about just 10 laps. Not massive. And the mediums here, about 2/10 here, so they, with degradation being a little bit less, 20 laps. So if we can, we probably want to do something like soft. Well, we probably actually want to avoid the soft. Base strategy here is medium to hard one-stopper. It's not actually a bad one. We could be a little bit more adventurous and say something like this: medium full attack into another medium full attack into, say, a relaxed soft to finish things off here. But yeah, degradation wise, probably not a good idea, honestly. Probably would be better off doing something a little bit more like this. But even then, it's slower than the base strategy because we're doing pit stops. So if we do a hard one like this, we can actually save a little bit of time compared to the other options available to us. But it is going to require us to have kind of perfect pit stops, which we already, well, do. So this is kind of viable. It is, as you can see, a little bit quicker than the one-stopper, just barely though. This is still going to probably be better because we can probably run the hard tail and aggressive. So as you can see, one-stopper, not necessarily a good choice, but you need, the thing that you do need to remember with this is that the first stint here, we're not going to be able to run the mediums as quick as you expect. So the reality of this, it says it's 2 seconds slower. It's probably not going to be. But with this, we're going to have traffic. We're going to have other issues. But I think it's going to be a strategy that we're going to have to employ just because our race pace is low to begin with these drivers. And as a result, I've probably said this a million times on this save. And as a result, confidence is actually fairly important for us. So we're going to do something like this. It should be okay. Again, it is Monza. Pitting isn't really recommended more than once, but we're doing this basically to get the confidence up as high as we can. It is Monza. Overtaking should be difficult. Should be easily with the very, very long Main Street DRS zone. And I do think that we can make something happen, unless the entire race ends up at one big DRS strain. But this is what we have decided to gamble on. Let's do it. Let's see how it goes.
All 10 teams are now getting,
and I'm very curious where we're going to be seeing the 2 Red Bulls. So yeah, we have both of them right here. And a Haas as well. That's a little bit surprising.
And away we go.
Before we go away, let's have a look at what the grid actually ended up being. We have Nyman and Contreras. Verstappen got moved up. Norris got moved up, as you can see here, 3rd row. We have De Vries in 6th. I think that's a bit of a record. Porsche in 8th. Sargent in 9th. Gasly in 10th. So yeah, a bit of a interesting grid here with the both Mercs being further back. Piastri being further back. Behrman further back. So yeah. I am very curious to see how this is going to develop, because potentially here, De Vries could play an MVP role for us, along with Porsche and Sargent to some degree, but they end up kind of slowing down the rest of the pack, which would be beautiful. Let's see if that actually comes to fruition, though, because behind us we have 2 Red Bulls, both of them on soft tires. We have Stroll on soft tires, and actually a bunch of cars on soft tires, so this could pan out in our favor. Considering long term. That's not what I wanted to click. Yeah. Verstappen here, down in 4th. Stroll has taken a 3rd. And that too is very, very beneficial for us. So let's speed things up here. See if we can create a gap. Verstappen and Stroll, we can bring them along. If we can leave Norris or De Vries for that matter and create some gaps in this DRS train, that would be preferable. We aren't very speedy on a straight, which is a negative, because again, we are relying on the DRS to make overtakes. But I think we should be fine around this track. That's what I'm thinking. Verstappen kind of already getting left behind a little bit. That's a tad surprising, but he is gaining that time back the second he gets a straight line, which is probably what you'd expect out of the Red Bull anyways. But yeah, first few laps here gone very, very well. Currently, we're just gonna kind of slow things down a little bit, wait for that first pit stop, and hopefully we'll have some more stretch in the DRS train by then, because right now we only have 3 very minor ones, and that is kind of scary news for our potential pit strategy here. So let's see if we can create, or rather stretch those gaps a little bit more and make them a little bit bigger. We've had our first incident, luckily nothing that involves us, but this could again help with creating stretch. It's actually Gasly, and is he going to touch the Haas? Yeah, they do bump. That does kind of slow things down a little bit though, that meaning that they're going to be a little bit slower. There is a gap created there between Gasly and the cars in front. And as I say that, Nyman runs a bit wide and creates a gap herself. So yeah, not great. Let's be honest. I don't like that though, that they went for the full stop. They should keep on going when incidents like that happen, and rather get the penalties for rejoining dangerously than just straight up stopping. I think that would be better for immersion, so to speak. Now, Contreras has been caught up here by Norris, and as you can see, we're burning through these tires quite aggressively, which is a bit of a problem that I didn't consider, because I'm so used to running drivers that actually have high smoothness. And with the temperatures here not being very high, as you can see, these can go up to 125 degrees. It is very worrisome for our aggressive strategy. So yeah, this is not looking good. Let's just put it like that. We are going to have to try and jump everyone in the pit stops, because currently, if we were to pit Contreras, we'd come out behind Schumacher by a few seconds. So we're currently in a bit of a pickle, but we have no choice at this stage. We have staked our course. We're just going to have to run it. And I might already have thrown away a race here, because again, I probably should have sat down, readjusted to the drives that we do have, but I didn't, and we might end up paying the price for that. But yeah, we'll do a few more laps, then we'll pit. So we're pitting both Contreras and Nyman this lap. As you can see, they're coming in, and they're almost likely going to end up behind Schumacher here, both of them. So we'll have to see how long it takes for these softs runners here to pit. Everyone is basically on the softs. Everyone should be pitting fairly soon. And there is some stretches here in the DRS train. If Piastri gets dislodged, both Contreras and Nyman should have a little bit of an easier task in getting overtakes done and building a little bit more onto that confidence before the other cars do pit. So that's kind of going to be the hope here. If it's going to work, that's going to be a different issue. And Contreras has already gotten 1. But we're definitely going to be micromanaging ERS a little bit here to try and make this as smooth and painless as possible. We just had Verstappen in the pits, and unfortunately here, actually Nyman did manage to beat him. Honestly, I'd like to see a replay of that, but Nyman has gotten an overtake here on Verstappen. Sends it down, gets it through the inside by basically having better tires. Verstappen just coming out of the pits there, so his tires would be cold. That is huge. That means Nyman now is out of Verstappen, which is a good way to slow him down, but at the same time, a bad thing, because we don't really want to mess with him too much. And everyone is kind of getting on the pitting train right now. And as you can see here, Norris potentially is not going to be beaten by Nyman. But at the same time, we're in a fairly okay situation, purely strategically here, because Contreras is going to come out ahead for sure. And we should have a pretty decent advantage towards the last few laps here in terms of tire, provided that we can actually take, you know, advantage. And that's always a big if, because what I assume is happening here is that Verstappen, Stroll, everyone on their hards right now, none of them are planning to pit again. So we're going to have to make the most out of these hard tires, and then we're going to have to launch an attack. And what I am thinking that we do here, because for Contreras, we actually have another set of mediums, and for Nyman, we don't, so she has to run a soft tire. But for Contreras, we might actually change up a strategy and put it on a medium tire rather than a soft tire, and that should work out just fine. Currently, Contreras would come out around Bottas at the current stage. If we can say come out ahead of Albon by the time we do our final pit stop, that would be amazing. And currently, we are running 23.8s, same as Verstappen. They're running, well, slightly slower, but not by much. So it's still going to be a little bit of a struggle to make this happen. But we'll do our best here. We'll keep on working. Let's see if we can keep our positions until we get to that final pit stop of ours. We are getting increasingly closer to that pit stop. In terms of the lap time gain, if we can try, we might come out ahead of Russell. That's really the only thing we can hope for here. But Leclerc, Albon, both of them should be pretty smooth sailing. Now, what we have decided to do here for Contreras is put her on a medium tire, and we will be running that medium tire on standard, and then we'll turn it up towards the end of the race because we are still a little bit uncertain about how degradation is going to affect us. And for Nyman here, we're just going to run these tires into the ground, meaning that she'll do this lap, and probably one more before we pit her, so we might as well just get that set up. Contreras is going to be pitting this lap. She is running out of tires, so there's no real reason to push her beyond that. And as I said, the hope here is that we come out ahead of Russell and Bottas, so can we make that happen, or are we going to get overtaken here on the straight? And it looks like we made that fairly safely. We are going to be in a DRS train with them, but at the same time, there's nothing inherently wrong with how that went. We should be the second car in a DRS train if we end up getting overtaken, and I can say that I'm happy with that. The main question is going to be, of course, Nyman. Where exactly is she going to come out? And when she does come out, can she make up the places that she just lost? Down to 14th. That's going to be a little bit of a harder climb than Contreras. So this is going to be, this is now going to be a fairly interesting affair. And we're actually going to tune her down and just tune her up when we get into basically overtake range here. We might get an overtake done here right now, but we'll do a little bit of micromanaging, give a little bit of extra DRS to make things happen, and probably just turn her up to standard once we get into this situation. But we should have a fairly significant tire advantage, and if we can manage this tire advantage, Nyman should have no problems getting back up into position. And same with Contreras. Using tire, didn't even need extra energy there, just did it on her own. Should allow us to fight the Red Bull somewhat. That's going to be the hope here. That's going to be what we're trying to do. Let's see if we can, in these next 15 laps, make something happen. We've had an incident here with Contreras where she ran wide.
We're taking turn 6.
Now, she was alone, so I don't know how bad this is going to be. Probably a few seconds. But the question here is, did that affect the tires in any meaningful way? And honestly, at the moment, doesn't look like it did, but we'll have to wait for it to cross the finish line to kind of really see the impact. So, yeah, let's see here now what it has to say. So we did lose a little bit of durability, but we actually have some durability to go on. So it's not the worst thing ever. But at the same time here, I think we're getting to the point now right now with Diamond where we are going to have to invest a little bit in pushing. We are back in the points, but it's not a good position to be in. So let's see also if Contreras can kind of make up for that little bit of a loss. But yeah, right now, we are honestly struggling a little bit. It's going to be a rough end to this race. So Contreras has now caught up to the cars in front and just going to overtake somewhat Donald Albon. We have turned her up to full attack. We'll have to see if that turns out to be a mistake. It might be. We lost about 7% that lap, so we're actually going to have to turn it down to aggressive due to that. And for Nyman here, we have turned her to aggressive as well. And I think that should be okay. She has a little bit better smoothness than Contreras. We have caught up to the DRS train here. Second place, at least, is potentially within grasp. So it's not all bad, but we will conserve a little bit for both drivers here. For Contreras, while we are kind of sailing in the DRS train. We'll also tune it down to standard, do a little bit of recharging for this lap. And then we're going to kind of launch an attack here, see if we can get Verstappen. Because Verstappen is our, fighter in the Constructors Driver Championship. But yeah, strategy here, not done us any favors. I was a little bit too optimistic, and it really, really did not pay off. Probably would have been better to mimic what the AI did and go for a one-stopper, I would personally say. But yeah, I think we can go attack now till the end. Probably none of the soft tires here, that's going to be a little bit too much. But yeah, we should hopefully get Leclerc with Nyman, which honestly is still too little. But we don't really have many choices now in terms of how we handle these things, and that is a little bit of a problem. But yeah, look, all we can do is do our best here. Might get the Aston, not really. It is a bit of a long DRS train with 3 cars ahead of us. And Nyman here is getting increasingly closer to the chair. Should be able to get him by the end. But yeah, these cars running kind of side by side and blocking. It's going to make overtaking an absolute pain here. And this is actually one of those times when you probably can put the overtake aggression too high and not really suffer too many consequences. But if I do end up flying off the track, I'm going to be very, very upset. So do keep that in mind. We have gotten a Stroll at least. We are going to need some energy probably to get the Red Bull. So we'll tune it down to neutral. And if we can put some pressure on Verstappen here, we might actually force him to take it a little bit slower. Maybe extend the gap up to the McLaren. And that would be great. But Nyman, not really getting the overtake done, so we'll give her to the boost. Yeah, currently not looking to be in great shape. We'll go ahead and recharge before the final lap. And then we'll just deploy once we basically get to the finish line. Because we'll only have probably one more chance to get the overtakes done. And that is going to be this very next straight. For Nyman, we're just going to deploy, I think. Turn it back to neutral. We do have got Leclerc. But yeah, this is not a good situation. I have managed the RS poorly.
One more lap.
Strategic choices have been kind of poor. But we might actually get a overtake here. Nope, we went off the track. We lost a lot of tire life as well. And that puts us out of contention for fighting Verstappen. Crash involving multiple cars. If we actually crash, because the game did kind of jitter there.
With not much room to move, and the contact between the cars.
Yes, we technically turned in. That corner is very, very janky though. So yeah. This could be bad for the tires, but I think we're just going to go all in here and send it because we're going to have to. If not, Stroll's going to be a danger. But now at this point, we can just deploy. And we're just going to do the same here for Contreras. Get away, get towards the goal. And as you can see there, Stroll is attacking. He's probably going to get the attack done even. But yeah, that's due to us losing losing the battle of, well, the ties there, really. But yeah, poorly managed race. One stopper here, probably for the best. Norris wins, Pocher second, Albon sixth, Verstappen third, then we have Stroll fifth and seventh for us. So yeah, not a good showing at all. Show scoring some points for Williams. But yeah, definitely a race I could have handled better, considering that we started first and second. So, not good. Not good at all. Let's see if we can get this back in the next race. We're still leading the Driver Championship, but then again, we're stopping getting a little bit. Constructors, though, we lost miserably. We are going to have to put in some work there to get that back. But as you can see, we had good pit stops. So that was not the case here. We did fail the finish position and finish position streak with that race. We should just go for a basic one-stopper. We saw that it was quicker. It's just me being stubborn that led to us choosing the wrong option, honestly. Leveling up for a couple of our drivers is all good and nice as well. We'll take that. And we've had a bunch of failed parts here, including a destroyed suspension. And I believe after the last race, we had the same problem with the underfloor and suspension. So this means that we're going to be down to, well, just a couple of extra ones. That's going to be a bit of a problematic here if we have another collision. You can kind of see it here. Suspension, we actually don't have any extra suspension at that. So might need to go back. Well, we actually do because it's been destroyed. So it doesn't actually count as being on the car. That was lucky for us. But yeah, side pods, chassis, everything here kind of needs to be manufactured. We have any? We do have slots. So let's go ahead here, manufacture 2. I thought I started some of these things, but apparently I probably just looked at them, which is bad. But luckily we have 11 days until Singapore, so we can use that time to alleviate this this problem that I created for us. So there we are. Parts made. We still lack front wings, rear wings, but those are much easier to get come by. So we'll take the opportunity to get the other parts done instead. Yeah, let's just take a quick look here on the sporting crew, sporting director. We have been messing around a little bit with him, development-wise. Pit crew is weary, so we need to deal with that. And if we have a look here, the Tide, the weary, are going to have to cancel some of these practices just because, well, we don't have the fatigue here to really deal with this. And as I said, we have been experimenting a little bit. I have been taking notes over the course of this series on pit crew performance. And I'm planning to keep on doing that until at least the end of this season. But honestly, this should be fine. The race weekend is here, so we'll set up a new thing for next month. But as you can see, we are losing performance, which is what you expect, because our pick crew is, as I said, basically already very, very elite. So yeah, can't be too upset about that. We even went and snatched Wheatley to make them better. New ATR period. We'll have to see exactly where we want to place that. But we probably will place it somewhere, let's be honest. And since the side pods that we needed have been done, let's go ahead and manufacture, I think, a rear wing. That should be okay. And also a front wing, probably, once that rear wing is done. But yeah, new ATR period, which should mean that we have a new, basically, new month. It is taking over, there we are. Driver development update, 2 points of cornering, a point of braking, and of course 2 points of adaptability. I shouldn't be surprised at this point. Cornering, braking, and accuracy for Nyman. Very good. 3 points of cornering, 2 points of smoothness, 1 point of reaction. This is beautiful growth, honestly. Do love seeing that. So yeah. Sano becoming very, very good. Well, not very, very good. You get the idea. But growing nicely is probably the better way to word myself. Okay, let's have a look here. Fatigue-wise, we're fine. So I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and do this. Mainly because I do believe that the car building skill should influence fatigue gains. I am probably wrong, but I want to see if I see any correlation. That is why we're messing with it. But yeah, we are going to put in a couple of just standard drills. Because, well, they're going to allow our pick crew to retain their abilities. And it isn't too taxing, so they'll still be somewhat well rested on the day they are needed. Give them extra day of rest here after the race. That should be good enough. Put in a couple more of these. Fill in the rest, I think, with car building. Again, car time isn't a concern for us right now because it's already as low as 2 seconds. So I'm thinking we should be fine, although we can put in a couple of sessions here in order to kind of try and alleviate that. And then we are still well rested. And I think we'll just leave it for this right now. It's not a lot of gain, let's be honest. We're gaining a little bit of Mustang Gara, or lessening a little bit. We could gain some car building. We have still lost a bit of pit time. But again, I think this is fine. Should really check after every race to know exactly where you're at. And that is probably what we're going to end up doing here in the long run. For now, though, we're going to head into Singapore. And Singapore, just as a heads up, might be a place where we're going to have to eat a penalty. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how that goes. We're going to be very conservative with this one. One driver, top 10, just to be on the safe side, because we could always have some silly goose like myself go ahead and make a mistake like Monster. But yeah, let us head into Singapore. Let's get the car set up. Let's get everything set up. And then we'll prepare for the race itself. And this is another one where I'll probably benefit from doing a one-stopper if I can. So let's see what I actually end up doing. So Singapore here, not the best quality we've ever seen. Second from Contreras, but we have Nyman down in 10th. So that's going to put us in a bit of a rough spot here strategic-wise. But, excuse me, I think we can make this... make something out of this, because we have a bit of a problem, and that is ERS. Now, it's going to survive this race, but honestly, at this point, I'm feeling that it would benefit us to kind of take the lunge and just get that ERS here. It's going to cost us a grid penalty, of course, but while it is difficult to overtake here, I think it's going to be worth it for the sense that, well, we can probably, hopefully, get some of these positions back. So softs here, about 4/10 advantage over mediums, but degradation means they're only effective for about 11 laps. The mediums to hards is kind of the same story. So every tire is somewhat equal, which means that we have a few more options in terms of what we want to do. Now, for Contreras here, we are actually starting pretty far towards the back because, again, we're taking penalties. So the idea is incredibly simple. We push hard, we get in early, and we try and take, well, advantage of that to get a somewhat early pit stop done. Run a little bit more relaxed on the second stint. Maybe run that hard stint on aggressive. But even then, this is not going to really work out to our advantage. We have very low we have very low, Jesus, I can't speak. We have very low degradation, or rather we have very high degradation. We have low smoothness. There we go, finally English. And as a result, we don't really benefit much from doing things too different. But as you can see, running mediums on aggressive is going to benefit us. Running the hards on aggressive is not. Running the softs on, well, it's not either. So I think this is going to be the key here. It's going to be slightly quicker than the base strategy, slightly quicker than anything else we can have here. It's going to be 4 stops, which is potentially a bad thing, but I think it's going to, you know, be beneficial in the end. And we are kind of going to do the same here for Contreras. Run the mediums on aggressive, and then put it, I believe, on a soft stint towards the end. I thought we had 2 mediums. We clearly do not. It's just me being a little bit silly. But as you can see, it is slightly quicker than the intended strategy. Although running full attack is probably what we're going to end up doing on these mediums anyways. So we do have to take that into account. So something like this is probably more realistic, I guess you could say. Still going to be somewhat quicker than the other strategies, but this one is still fairly decent. It's actually about the same in terms of pace. But again, we would be losing out a little bit towards the end of these soft stints. But yeah. Let's see if we can actually experiment a little bit with that. Because this one does have potential for a little bit of an upset. But yeah, degradation wise, running the soft and standard is definitely the best thing we can do. And again, the attack that we'd have to run in the beginning is going to slow us down somewhat. That's the main problem with strategies like this. You're going to lose a lot of time to begin with. It's going to slow down your strategy overall. So we're going to do this, and I think we are going to be happy with this. Again, a very aggressive strategy, which isn't really beneficial on drivers with low smoothness. But it is what I love to do because, again, makes the races more interesting, more fun if you have more pit stops. And we are going to, again, just try and do that again here. Diamond, because we're taking a penalty. Contreras, because it's probably the best we can do from that second position. And we'll try and make the best we can out of this. Honestly, this is probably not very realistic for Contreras. So we'll have to see what we can do here. We only have soft tires available. We do have 2 sets of hard, though, for Diamond. Excuse me. We have 2 sets of hards for Nyman. That does open up a few options here for changing things around to potentially something like this, maybe? Mainly just because it gives us a little bit extra tire to go on. So I think we'll do this. It's technically slower. Yeah, we're not gonna... We'll keep the hard tire in case it is an option. But yeah, mediums here, definitely the better option to go with. So that is what we will do. We'll gamble on this. We'll have to try to make it work. It is what it is. So we're starting second, and where are we? All the way back there. So down in 18th. That is going to be a rough game to get back into, get back into the points on this track. But we'll do our best to make that happen. Contreras side by side with Norris. That looked like it was gonna basically wreck Bottas. That looked very, very scary. But yeah, we're kind of losing at it at the start a little bit. Everyone except for a few cars here on anything other than the mediums, which again is kind of what we are hoping for with our aggressive soft strategy for Nyman. So it's not all bad. Can probably still make something out of this. Contreras in second, Verstappen in 4th. And again, the main thing that we're going to be focusing on for the remainder of this season is going to be the Contreras versus Verstappen battle, unless we have a few good few good races in succession here. But for now, let's just settle in. We'll try and work our way up to that first pit stop, and then see if we can get something, get something to go our way, so to speak. So we're already in a little bit of trouble here. We had to turn down Contreras because degradation was high, and he's down in 3rd as a result. Nyman has just made 2 positions there. That isn't that surprising either, but because degradation is higher than anticipated, we might be in a slight pickle here in terms of how the track is going to be handled. And again, degradation is higher than anticipated, mainly because our drivers have incredibly low smoothness. To the point where we're probably going to end up replacing one of them with Sino next year, unfortunately. Nyman, 2-second pit stop, that is acceptable. But yeah, we're going to have to manage the tires quite drastically to make this happen. We'll have to pay attention to see if degradation is higher than anticipated on the hards while running in clean air. If it is, then we'll definitely have to make some sort of choices here. But currently, Nyman is going to be running in a bunch of free air. She's going to be running these tires on hard attack. And again, the goal is incredibly simple. Try and get as many overtakes done during this period as possible. So once the rest of these cars start pitting, that is when we'll see just how potentially well this has worked out, or how poorly this has worked out. Contreras is losing right now. Let's see what Nyman is looking at in terms of lap times. 35.5s, which is actually equal to Norris and Bottas. And we're running aggressive strategy on, well, new tires. So that is a little bit too bad, actually. That is too poor for what we're looking for, yeah. Let's see what we can do on lap number 2. Basically, first full lap after pitting. 34.3. That is a lot better, but again, Norris here is pushing as well. He's getting ready to pit, I think. Or he just has some monster laps. There's just no other way around that. Contreras here right now, we are going to be pitting her this lap onto that hard tire. And again, we're going to have to do a little bit of management, I think, to make this last till the end. There's just no other way around it. And we are going to be pitting from 4th and most likely come out towards the back here, maybe even behind Schumacher and towards potentially Nyman. So Leclerc is pitting. No way that Nyman jumps Leclerc, I think. Yeah, could get a little bit close there, but not really. And Contreras is going to have to contend with Schumacher. When we had a little bit of pit stop issue, lost a couple extra seconds there, which is not great, but also not a, you know, it's something that we can deal with without too much trouble. We'll keep on managing our drivers somewhat. Looking good here in terms of temperatures. I'm not too worried. Schumacher fighting Contreras is a little bit worrying because, well, it's Schumacher. But yeah, currently I'd say we are looking somewhat good. Leclerc here now we have actually somewhat caught up to. So yeah, well, it's not all great. It does look promising at this point. So Verstappen has just pitted, and unfortunately he has come out ahead of Contreras. But Nyman is now up in the points, but do remember we're planning to pit twice. And some of these cars are going to stay out, most likely, potentially till the end. So it's not all great in... it's not all great for us right now. But at the same time, if we can take advantage of Verstappen, have him pull us along here when we are running a little bit of a slower car, that would benefit us for sure. And for Nyman here now, we are going to be pitting pretty much this lap, which means that we're a little bit outside of the budget. But I think it's going to be fine to go in the medium and the soft here. I still think it's going to benefit us towards the end. So that is kind of what we're already just pulling the trigger, getting Nyman in. And she should be coming out again towards the back of the grid. We'll have to see exactly where. But there is enough of a stretch right now where overtakes should be pretty smooth sailing. And I think that's going to really help us. Now, Contreras has been overtaken by Stroll. Well, Verstappen has overtaken Stroll, I think, is actually what happened. But honestly, we are looking a little bit like we're going to be struggling here. Everyone ahead of us has pitted. Stroll is going to pit. Gas is going to pit. But potentially here, we could see these hard runners stay on these tires till the end. So, yeah, it's not a great position to be in. Still need to do a lot of work on smoothness here to be competitive. But it is what it is. We'll just have to try and deal with it. Nyman is running her own race. We'll have to see how that goes. For the time being, we'll just kind of prepare ourselves for that final pit stop of ours. So we just finished Contreras' final pit stop, and that puts her actually behind Nyman. Stroll did pit too, onto a hard tire. And again, what we're going to have to do here for Contreras is use as soft as a hard. There's just no way around it. It's just going to be the best that we can do. And I think that's going to also be the kind of the best that we can do for Nyman right now. Because Stroll just came out with a fresh set. If we can keep up with him, that would be great. Get a little bit extra time from that. But if we can't, we're just going to have to run a soft tire as a kind of pseudo-hard again. And there's no real, you know, negatives of doing so. It's just that the situation has forced it to it. But yeah, definitely a terrible day with a red flag.
And it was Mick Schumacher involved.
I did speak ill of Mick earlier on, and he just went ahead and he went ahead and caused a red flag. Okay. Now this is bad because we only have soft tires, so we can't do anything about that. We only really have a hard tire here. I think we're going to have to go for it because we can probably run that somewhat attack-wise. Let's see here. It's about 22 laps. Well, not even that. That's 20. Sorry, that's 17. To the end here, a little bit over 20. So running it unaggressive should be doable. Let's gamble on that. But yeah, not a great red flag. We probably should start to go back to one-stop strategies, even if we do have a bit of a higher degradation, because it does seem to benefit us more. There are some soft runners, there are some hard runners besides ourselves.
And away we go.
But this is gonna probably go to the end. Piastri and old softs could help us, Stroll and old hards could help us. But yeah, this is not gonna be a good thing at all. And we'll push, we'll deploy. But we'll try and take care of these tires. And as you can see, running attack to the end could work, but not really. So we'll switch up the settings a little bit. Contreras immediately loses out a little bit here to Behrman potentially. And Nyman is fighting Stroll. If we can get Stroll here immediately too, that would be beautiful. Because we're going to have a bit of a DRS train on our hands to kind of contend with here. Contreras still kind of fighting with the Haas. So yeah, today was not a good race weekend. Not only did I get the strategy somewhat wrong, but that red flag did also put us into a bit of a compromised, I guess you could say, position. But we are already making, I'd argue, some pretty aggressive moves, and I do like to see that. So hopefully we can make some more. Nyman is one place away from the points. Contreras is finding the Mercedes at the moment. Gets that done. And honestly, I think we'll keep on deploying for one more lap. And then is when we're going to have to start doing a little bit of recharging. Basically at this point. So we can settle in a little bit here. Do a little bit of recharging. Still push fuel so we keep up. But currently, it's not as bad as initially thought. Of course, we're probably not going to get a lot of points here. The Red Bulls are going to have a 1-2. But salvaging it into the points there is going to be actually pretty good. So let's put Nyman to neutral. The others are pulling away. That kind of tells you just how much of a fight here we might have on our hands. For now though, let's see if we can chase down the Ferrari ahead. So we're currently in a pretty bad spot. We've been trying, but we just aren't getting the overtakes done. Currently we have just charged up Nyman to try and get something to happen here. And we should be able to at least get Gasly, but currently not really looking too good, honestly. Contreras, well, we have been kind of trying to keep the tires alive, just isn't capable of doing that. And that is going to put us in a bit of a tough spot here, honestly. That's the best way I can describe it. The DRS train makes it very, very hard to do something. But Bottas here might turn up to be a bit of a blessing for us in the sense that he might actually lessen the punishment that we were about to receive here from this really, really bad race weekend. And again, I probably should learn at this point. While I do love 2-3 stoppers because they are more exciting, it's the 1-stoppers that really do win races. Let's be honest, it's just a fact of life. And Contreras, as you can see, just will not probably even make it to the finish at this rate. So not a great showing here for us at all. We'll allow Nyman to do this lap to just kind of charge up to Leclerc. Then we'll do a little bit of an attack. We have 5 laps to go. I think the hard tires can survive attack till the end. We're going to gamble on that. Piastri here could end up losing his tires a little bit. So there is potentially one free spot up for grabs. But the rest here, we're definitely going to have to somewhat fight for. And already here you can see that we are actually falling backwards from Leclerc. So it's not great. Not great at all. And Nyman gets one move done. Well, it's not even done yet, but that is an extra point. Could be very, very important. And as I said at Contreras, we don't really have tire, fuel, anything really to launch anything that resembles an attack. So we're going to be focusing on Nyman, and we're going to try and make something happen towards the end. We're probably going to end up below 30% in terms of tire. But that is kind of a situation that we're just going to have to accept. We're just going to have to accept in this situation because if we don't, we're going to end up in an even poorer situation. Now, we're going to be employing a little bit of recharge, and we're going to be attacking basically on this sections, and then we'll recharge for the rest of the track, and hopefully that'll be enough that we can actually get potentially another position done here. It looks like we are putting a lot of pressure on the show, so that is good to see. Now, the problem here with this track is that if you do run out of energy, you're so vulnerable, which we just did. So we might have put ourselves in a bit of a poor situation. You can already see that we're losing a lot to show as a result. And even catching him at this point is becoming more and more unreasonable, I guess I could say. We have turned up the risk here of both drivers, experimenting a little bit with that. And also, as you can see, Contreras has no tire left to fight, and still more than one lap to go. We have a little bit more here on Lyman, but not by much. And as I predicted, Piastri's tires have kind of given in, but the same is happening with us. Can we get him? Can we get Show? And if we can get those two, I think we can still be happy. So, yeah, it's not going to be great. Bottas probably is not going to be able to threaten Verstappen. Can we get him now on this final straight? We don't have ERS. I probably used it a little bit too liberally at some point. Should have saved it for the final few laps here. But yeah, can unfortunately not get Show. Norris wins, Verstappen second, and we end up 8th and 12th. That is a horrible Singapore race, honestly. And again, it's all on me being very aggressive with the strategy here. I'm not in a mental space that allows me to consider the fact that aggressive strategies are bad on these guys, because they have such high degradation to begin with. I actually have it probably the wrong way around mentally here, because I'm just so used to the aggressive strategies being the best ones. So I probably have a little bit backwards in the sense that with these guys being conservative would probably benefit you more than being aggressive. So that's on me for not adjusting properly. We could probably say that for both these race weekends. I'm kind of throwing away the fight here. We were 30-ish points, now we're almost 100 behind. So yeah, that is on me for sure. Regulation mode, we'll vote for a lessening of the cost cap. Car inspection results, we have a failed front wing and a rear wing. That is actually really simple to fix, no real biggie. We can solve that immediately. Technical chief here, we do want to give him a new contract, but again, I'll just postpone it a little bit and hopefully deal with it next time if I remember. Unless, of course, I end up postponing it again. I do have a habit of doing that if I can. So that should be us kind of caught up on parts. We probably do need a rear wing. But other than that, I do believe that we are caught up now, finally, on parts again. And that is a good feeling. But yeah, I think we'll do the Japanese GP here as well. And hopefully we can turn things around here a little bit. We'll go with a little bit more of a conservative strategy here, hopefully, provided we have a decent qualifying. But we'll have to take a look at that once we actually get into the race weekend itself. Now, rear wing has been manufactured. Manufactured. And we also have the suspension research completed. This is a basic one, which is kind of what you expect. The research that we've done for the suspension has basically, for the most part, alleviated the loss here. So it's not all bad. What we probably want to focus this ATR period on, not the side pods, they're basically caught up. It's probably going to be the front wing. It's going to be the front wing for sure. So, while we are going to start another research project for the suspension, we're not going to put any ATR time in it. We're going to invest in brake cooling, we're going to invest in airflow, and we're going to do something like this. Probably a little bit less of a focus on brake cooling, because we basically caught up on that already. Try and get a little bit more of that airflow front back. And we'll put an engineer on it, just run it normally. That should be okay. We'll have another project done tomorrow, which is the rear wing. And then in 3 days, which basically translates to after the current race weekend, we'll be getting back we'll be getting the project where we can put our CFD time into. So let's just get that rear wing up and running. Again, we're losing airflow sensitivity, which honestly would be good for us to get back. But at the same time, it's not too bad unless we're running in a lot of traffic. We are somewhat running in traffic at the moment, so it's not a bad idea to get it, well, some of it back. But it's not something that I would critically worry about. And for this one, does not really look like we had a any safety time in that, which is understandable. And in terms of our performance targets, fastest lap, Q2, Q3, should be no problem. Let's see if we can actually have a good quali and a good race here at the Japanese GP. With rain, which is going to make it even more fun. So, we have a bit of a chance here of a comeback, because as you can see, Contreras, Nyman, we had a 1-2 here, quali was a rainy mess, and we were able to take advantage. Unfortunately, Ocon, and one of the only good qualifiers for Mercedes lately, has elected to take a penalty. Behrman in 4th, Stroll 5th, we have Albon, then Norris, Bottas, Show, and we have the Red Bull Verstappen down in 11th, which is going to get promoted. But we have a pretty good starting point there, and honestly, we don't need to take any risks. I haven't taken too many risks for the last 2 races, which hasn't paid off. And we'll have a look and see what we are expecting for this one. So starting on the dries is probably what's going to happen here. Yeah, we'll start on the dries, we'll have to go to the inters, then we'll have to go to the dries again. So full attack on the soft, just no way around it. It's going to be 4 minutes, 3 minutes, so we'll be doing about 3 laps. No reason to sugarcoat it. And let's see here, around lap 28 is when we go back to the dries. Let's see, let's say lap 4 here, just to be careful. And we're going back on lap, what did I say, 28? 27? Yeah, somewhere around here, probably lap 25 actually, with how it's looking. The question then is, do we just go into a hard tire? That's probably going to be the best bet, honestly. It's either that, or we do something similar to this. But let's see here, 22.17 medium tire would be quicker, but degradation is a bit of a concern. I think this is the best we can do in a in a safe manner. But if we take if we take things to play it a little bit safe here by the interset, and well, sorry, if we take the risk. Again, I said no risks. But where's the fun in that? If we do take a risk and go, say, in this case we want to do the medium first. Like so, full attack medium into a soft tire. How much quicker would that potentially be? Because again, we can't do this because it just isn't viable. We need at least this much of a buffer because of how hard degradation is. It's going to be slower. So we're just going to do this for both cars. They're going to mirror each other. It's just the simplest way of doing it. Start on soft tire, go full attack, run the inters somewhat into the ground. Can't run them fully into the ground, although again, degradation for inters isn't usually as straightforward as seen here. But yeah, we'll be doing this. It's just I've just burnt myself a little bit too much lately on doing aggressive strategies that hasn't really panned out. So we'll do it like this. We'll see what we do with inters, if we run them standard or not, but if we can retain 1 and 2 going into the pit stops for, well, the rainy season, rainy weather, that would be amazing. Of course, one of these cars is going to lose out because we can't pit them at the same time, unless there is a gap formed, but you get the idea. This is probably going to be our best chance at getting enough points to maybe be able to threaten Red Bull again. We still have a very, very good chance in the Drivers' Championship, so a Contreras win here would be absolutely amazing. So yeah, good start here. Behrman actually gets involved as well, but we do have the inside line. But Behrman gets ahead, Albon gets somewhat ahead, and that's a pretty bad start from Nyman. That is a very, very bad start from Nyman. Question here is now, can we at least come back and slide into 3rd place? Or are we actually going to be losing more here? And we did. We're down to 4th already. Verstappen 10th, 11th, Norris 7th. So it's not terrible though. It does create potentially a little bit of a gap here with Behrman being a bit of a blocker for Nyman. Because again, we can probably pit both of these cars now on the same lap as a result of this. But yeah, we're definitely just pushing all we have here. Contreras creating, the bigger the gap Contreras gets to Behrman here, the better. It's going to be wildly beneficial. And by lap 4, it is going to start raining. The question now is, basically, when we hit basically 3:30, is when we'll most likely be crossing the line over here. Russell has a bit of an incident. Is it going to be worth it for us to jump in now? No. The pit lane here is long, but it's not long enough to make this valuable or even doable for us. And with 2-second difference here between the cars, we are going to double stack, I'm thinking. Rain has begun. It is going up reasonably quick, 20 millimeters already. And it is going up quick enough here that we can expect inters to be in play at the end of this lap, most likely. It is doing that. We can gamble. But I think the key here is just going to be, as I said, get in early, get on the inters, and we'll do the same here for Nyman. Get in here, get on the inters, and yeah, that's going to be it. We're going to double stack. We have the gap here that, unless we have an incident, that shouldn't be a problem. And I do want to turn them down to standard. I didn't actually get that done for Contreras because we were going a little bit too quick. Now, a lot of the cars kept on going. We'll have to see if they jump us or if we jump them. That's going to be a little bit up for grabs. Good stops from both our cars here, but yeah, Nyman did lose out to both Stroll and Albon. So, got moved even further backwards, so we did get held up a bit. That's not amazing. For Contreras here, we're just going to push so we can try and get out ahead of the other cars. And honestly, we should probably do the same for Nyman. Just go full attack on this and maybe the next lap. Everyone now is pitting. Let's see where Contreras comes out. I would assume she's going to come out ahead of everyone. Where's Nyman going to come out? She beat everyone up to 6, but we did end up losing out here. There's just no way around it. We have lost out. But I think at this point we can do a little bit of recharging of the batteries. And the Red Bulls lost out more than we did. So this is definitely good news. And again, Contreras is going to be the main focus point. But we definitely would like here to get Nyman up in a bit of a better position. So we'll try and use a little bit of, attacking here with these inters. We'll try and do a little bit of cheeky stuff to get her there. But yeah, at the moment, I think we can be happy with how that went. Not great. We had a bad start. It got even worse with the pit stop. Should probably have just delayed Nyman by a lap. But seeing that we jumped the Red Bulls, or rather, we gained on the Red Bulls, I don't think this is the worst decision we could have made. We could have split the cars up a little bit more. That is true. But at the same time, I think we got kind of the result we were hoping for. And for Nyman now, we are going to be using these tires aggressively to try and make up 1 or 2 more spots within this interstint. So let's see how that goes. We're currently having a dry period, which has been very, very bad for Contreras' tires. We lost a lot here. Sorry, not Contreras, Nyman's tires. And that has put her in a bit of a compromised situation. We still need to keep this going for at least 10 more laps. And as you can see here, the timing here is being extended in terms of the rain. So it's not looking good with how we push Nyman here. But currently we don't have any other option than just to try and hold on. And degradation-wise, we are worse off than the others. And Nyman just isn't having a good time right now. So not much we can do. We'll just have to try and do the best that we can out of this. It is back to damp. We can try and run a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, we're about halfway through the stint, and we've used 40% of the tires, which is really, really bad. Contreras is doing well though, still extending to Albon, but at the same time, even her is struggling with the tires a little bit, and we did try and take care of them there as well. So, Nyman currently in bad form, honestly. Tires hit, again, degradation is just too high for us to do much of anything. We'll still try and make something happen, but it's going to be difficult. Let's see if we can get her up a few positions before we do end up pitting for dries again. We're getting increasingly closer to dries, but Nyman is running out of tyre. At least she is holding currently Gasly and Norris behind, which is actually quite impressive. And as you see, in 3 minutes, we're going to have the last of the rain. It is still going down, but Nyman here is going to end up losing out. Our tyres are kind of, shot at this stage, and we still need to keep them alive for a few more laps. Although, it looks like we are getting into drier conditions, so we should actually go ahead now and just pit both cars. Full attack for this final lap, and I should have pitted Nyman as well, but I thought it would be a little bit more rain, since it said so. But I guess it is dry now, fully, so we'll get in, we'll push, and we will hopefully be able to retain our positions, or at least improve. I think Norris is going to jump us because of the fact that he did pit before us. But we are going to need these hard tires to last till the end. Norris has gone for mediums, which kind of tells me that he's intending to do another pit stop. So that is going to be interesting to see how that works out for him. 1.9 in terms of a pit stop time there, and we were too slow there to stop Nyman. Yeah, Contreras clearly out in first here. Let's see when Nyman comes out. Was 9th before the pit stops. Norris is going to jump her. No real surprise there. Everyone ahead has pitted. And I am a little bit surprised that they have pitted onto the medium though, because it does mean that they're going to have to kind of manage the tires a bit. And if they don't, they are going to have to pit again. So, could be that we've made a bit of a strategic blunder again here. But we'll see how this works out. If we need to, we can run a little bit more towards the attacking side. But this should allow us to just run these tires till the end of the race, the next 24 laps. So, I think we made a good decision. Let's see how this works out. Contreras running in first, 8 seconds to Albon, 20 seconds to Norris, 27 seconds to Nyman. Let's see if we can get her a little bit further up. But right now, it's not looking very promising. We don't really have the highest confidences for her. Decent enough for Contreras, but then again, Contreras hasn't actually been tested yet by anyone. So, not really too much we can do with that. I guess if cold tires, it could affect us negatively, and it kind of is here. You can see that she's a whole second slower than the rest of the pack. Norris is being incredibly quick. I guess that's because he got his mediums up to temp. And we even have a virtual safety car here.
So Max is off.
Max Verstappen is off.
But we don't know where.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what's happened there.
What happened with Verstappen?
It's the Red Bull driver.
He lost the rear.
Just flies into that.
Yeah, that's him out. He crushed potentially his gearbox a little bit there, but suspension, side pods, maybe chassis. So yeah, that is Verstappen out for sure. That VSC is actually going to help us a little bit, honestly. Because it's going to allow us to kind of heat up the tires before we get back running. That might also be why they choose to go with medium tires, because the hards are actually hard to get up to temperature, no pun intended. 140 degrees, so that could explain it. And the VSC is also saving them in terms of degradation, so it might actually have been better for us to run a medium stat on light rather than run the hards here. Maybe I've been a little bit traumatized by the previous 2 races to make a good decision, but you can actually fool yourself, kind of like what I've done this episode. But yeah, VSC ended. We're currently 1st and 10th. Let's see if we can keep this going. So far, so good. 12 laps to go. We're still in the lead by 5 seconds. Nyman's still in 10th, and we are still running a bit slower than the cars in front of us. Albon actually got a second out of us that last lap. But degradation-wise, we're not looking very good. Even running standard, the degradation is higher than anticipated. So, Contreras here could potentially be in trouble. They aren't degrading much their tires either. But honestly, the further this goes on, the more of an advantage our tires should theoretically have. So, we'll have to see how this works out. Currently, Nyman has caught Behrman. Contreras is extending. So I think we're starting to reach that point now where the hards are going to start to be the better tire, for sure. And hopefully, with this, we can get Nyman up a few places. But with basically 8 seconds there up to Norris, it's going to be probably a little bit too much to ask to catch him. But already, we have left Behrman by about a second. We'll have to see how Norris does this lap, and Piastri for that matter. But looks like we are seeing some improvements in our lap times. 31 blank versus 32. So of course, this is with ADRS at the start of the lap, so this is probably representative. We're not getting much, probably a couple of tenths at this moment. Probably not much more than that. We'll have a look again here on this next lap. This should be about 32. 31.6, so not bad. And potentially, we could actually make something happen. I think we can catch Piastri. But I'm a little bit too scared to turn him up too much. And honestly, we don't really need to do anything with Contreras. Nyman is the one that we need to kind of care about here. Turning up to aggressive should be fine till the end of this race. She should have enough time to make that happen, although it's just a 3% difference. It does actually matter quite a bit. We'll manage to fuel a little bit here. But yeah, looks promising. The question is, can we catch Gasly after? And no. No, who crashed? I can't believe you've done this to us. Charles. Ah, he's gonna get T-boned, isn't he? Okay, so no collision, they just park next to each other. I want to launch a protest against the Ferrari for sabotage. We have no choice here. It's just a soft full attack till the end. That's all that's gonna happen here. Let's see if Contreras can hold off Albon and Stroll.
All drivers have taken their positions again. Once more, they're ready to race.
This was a great opportunity.
Lights out.
Now it's way more risky. So let's see here. Can we make something out of this? We can push everything till the end. Okay, let's see here how this start goes for Contreras. Albon seems to have a little bit better start, but no, I was mistaken. Nyman has lost one, but might be coming back against Behrman. We have the Aston Martin a little bit in the way. Yeah, coming back against Behrman, could come back against the Aston. Norris had a decent start. He gained one. Nyman is a bit where she started currently. Contreras did hold off the Albon and Stroll combo. And currently the big question here is how many places can Nyman make up before the end? Could be tempting to turn off a risk taking, and we'll turn up to medium for now. But I don't want to turn it up any further than that. So yeah, gonna be interesting. Got another one on the straight there. Nice. Could get another one now on the main straight as well. Potentially. Go on, step out. Send it. Not really getting it done. But we are getting closer to Norris, who's also made another placer up to 5th. So this red flag is also helping him. But yeah. I don't think it helped us much, if any, at all. We'll have to see, though. I'm losing confidence, but it is at its peak. So let's take a little bit of risk here. Again, I do not really like this risk because we aren't actually, we aren't gaining a lot of points if this risk succeeds. But if it fails, we could lose a bunch of cost cap. So that's generally why I don't like to do this. And at this point here, with one more lap to go, I think we'll just run neutral and see how much we can recharge while running neutral. We're up into 60. We have the Red Bull in front of us. We're still going to push. But we're going to have to try and catch up to that Red Bull without usage of energy. And that's going to be difficult in its own right. Unless Pocher can hold him up a little bit. Turn this down for now. We did use Contreras' entire battery, but she has, 5 seconds to the car in front. So we'll just tune it out to lessen the risk. For Nyman, in particular, we do kind of have to try and send it. And I'm a little bit unsure where the best place is going to be. Okay, that is the wrong one. Put on always defend. It's not what I want to do. That probably costs us a DRS. Nope. But at the same time, the other cars have DRS too. So it really did most likely cost us the attack. That little bit of a misclick. I think we just don't have any choice. We'll have to do it after the... basically on the straight before the end. We have caught up to Norris though, so... Let's send it. We have a little bit of energy. Let's use it. See if we can catch up to him. Catch up a little bit closer. Launch the attack. Settings should be good. Just not enough energy, unfortunately. I should probably recharge a little bit. But yeah, Contreras does win. Nyman in 6th. McLaren in 3rd and 4th. Stroll 2nd. And honestly, we do get a little bit back here on the Red Bulls. Nothing major. The Contreras are having fastest lap. That's kind of a dominating fastest lap too, compared to the rest of the grid here. But yeah, Nyman, bit unfortunate there. Honestly, probably wouldn't have ended up higher than 6th anyways without the red flag. So it didn't really change things too much for us. But it is still a bit frustrating that it did pop up. So yeah, Contreras here extends the lead. Norris is actually now the bigger candidate for the championship, so we don't really need to worry too much about Verstappen. Well, probably for like a race weekend or so until he wins again. Well, we have 50 points in the drivers. In the constructors, gap has been close to 70 points. So still a long ways to go. We do have a lot of races remaining. But at the same time, strategy-wise, for the last, well, Singapore and Monza in particular, I probably could have been a little bit more clever and just said that, yes, we are doing the one-stopper, two-stopper, and just playing a little bit safe. Because it will work better for these guys. It's just because they have that high degradation that it isn't really working for them. Front-wing research has been completed here, and it's been a decent one. We are going to start a new one with the ATR period, but the design center improvement here has ran its course. We have lost the extra effectiveness, we have lost the extra engineer capacity, the project capacity, and with that we're back to 4 slots. We are going to have a worse cost cap next year, I think. Yep, we're at 4. So cost cap is going to be going down. But yeah, I think that is going to be it for today. In 4 days, we are going to be starting the research for the front wing. But honestly, this year it's still a little bit up for grabs. But honestly, we're probably going to end up second. Taking the driver championship would be a bonus though. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have, do please drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, as that helps me out a ton. And I do hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.